And we are at a new day. Welcome back, June 28th. This is the first of 4 videos we have for June 28th to finally get us started on real Greek mythology, which of course is what this course is all about. Great to have you back, and let's get started. We're going to talk in these 4 videos about the first 2 chapters from the Harris-Platzner textbook that were assigned for you to read for today. The first one, chapter 1, is your introductory chapter about the general overview of the Greek world and Greek mythology. I'm going to pick up on a few of the things covered in that chapter in these 2 videos, and you will be able to answer the discussion questions for today once you've had a chance to look over the videos and the outline that's provided for you, a brief one, on the schedule entry. Make sure that you do look over the discussion questions, and remember that you only need to answer 1 question for chapter 1 and 1 question for chapter 2. Be sure that you sign in at the forum for attendance, and then also please make sure to drop in your Dropbox your 2 answers for those questions, 1 from chapter 1, 1 from chapter 2. So let me talk now a bit about Athena and Dionysus, who are the subjects partly of chapter 1. Before I begin the actual discussion, let me introduce you to this. This is our second bit of ancient Greek symbology. And as you possibly can recognize, this symbol is associated with the ancient Greek goddess Athena. Take very good, close watch, because this symbol is going to show up repeatedly. Anytime this symbol shows up, because an owl is wise, we're going to be testing your wisdom by asking you an out-of-context question to see if you can answer it. So pay close attention whenever Athena's owl here shows up, because Athena's owl is there to test you on your wisdom. Okay, so Athena and Dionysus. These are both essentially half-children of the supreme god Zeus, the one who is married to his sister Hera, but has a mistress and another 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 mistress. Zeus can't stop. He has a completely insatiable appetite. So he has quite a few of these half-children. And one of them is the goddess Athena. She had a rather interesting birth. Zeus one day swallowed another goddess. Her name was Metis, the goddess of wisdom and ingenuity. And that's because Zeus had been told by a titan named Prometheus, who could foresee the future, that's what his name means, Prometheus, that Zeus would give birth to a son who would overthrow him. And Zeus, of course, being the king of all the gods in the entire world, was not eager to lose all of that power to his son. So when he got connected with this goddess Metis, again, goddess of ingenuity, he swallowed her. That way, he was able to give birth himself to their child. And in fact, because this woman was so wise, all of that primal energy went to his head. And before we knew it, he all of a sudden had a splitting headache. Splitting is a pun intended, because Zeus already, fortunately, had sired his son Hephaestus, who was the god of craftsmanship. And so the nursemaid named Artemis, she's the goddess of the hunt and weaving, comes along and suggests that Zeus get a good crack across his head with Hephaestus' axe. And so here comes the axe. It cleaves open Zeus's head, and out pops the fully grown, fully armored Athena, who, as you can see up here, is goddess of wisdom, war, and weaving. So you have wisdom, which both genders need. War is the gender male, and weaving, of course, is for the gender female, because most women in the ancient Greek world stayed at home and took care of domestic tasks, and one of their main domestic tasks was, in fact, weaving. So Athena is responsible for all of these, and there is a contest between her and the god Poseidon, the god of the sea, as to which of these 2 gods was going to be the patron god or goddess of Athens. Athens, of course, was very dependent on the sea. However, Athens was also a place where olive branches grew. So, which one was it going to be? So, they had a contest. Athena offered Athens the olive. Poseidon offered Athens a salt spring. It was the olive. So Athena became the patron goddess of Athens. Poseidon wasn't happy about that. And whenever Poseidon was not happy about something, it usually came out in the form of floods and earthquakes. So Poseidon threatened to flood the city of Athens because he was so angry that his niece took away that power from him. Fortunately, however, they came to a deal that saved Athens. The deal was that to compensate poor Poseidon, whose ego was so hurt because he couldn't have Athens as his city, that women in Athens would never again be allowed to vote or participate in any form of government. So that's an explanation for why in Athens, in any event, that women in fact held very little power anywhere in politics. So that's our goddess Athena. Now we have Dionysus, pretty much the exact opposite of Athena in temperament. He's the god of wine and theater. He's also the god of ecstasy, which is basically much harsher in the ancient Greek world than it is in English. Ecstasy means literally you stand outside of your body or outside of your mind. Basically, you go insane. So in order to worship Dionysus properly, somebody has to go totally insane, out of his mind. Dionysus also experienced himself and could also inflict on others something called sparagmos, which in the Greek world means scattering, like scattering seed to sow it in a field. Well, it's not only seed that you can scatter, there's also body parts. We will talk more about that later. In any event, sparagmos also is a feature of Dionysic worship because when one worships him, it's as if one's mind has been torn apart in shreds, and you lose touch with yourself and you lose touch of civilization for a period while you worship him until you eventually put yourself back together again and become a normal human being again, we hope. So Dionysus and Athena both had major festivals in Athens. There was a tyrant of Athens named Pisistratus. He was called a tyrant because he had taken over the government. He actually was not a bad leader, as the word might suggest. The word tyrant meant something different back then. It meant basically somebody who takes over the government and becomes sole ruler, but could still be a very good leader. So Pisistratus was the tyrant of Athens and did a lot to sponsor the arts and literature and architecture, and he did quite a bit to rebuild the city of Athens and really build it up over a long time. And so one of the major festivals we have at Athens is called the Pan-Athenaea Festival in honor of Athena. That's held every year, and there's a fourth year festival every 4 years, the so-called Greater Pan-Athenaea, which is even more elaborate than the regular one. And one big thing about the Greater Pan-Athenaea is that there was a special procession that went from the marketplace down below all the way up the Acropolis to the Parthenon shrine, and the statue of Athena was presented with a new peplos, which is the long ancient Greek women's dress. The peplos was woven with a story about how Athena had helped the Greek gods to conquer the evil giants. And so this gift was presented to the goddess Athena every 4 years. The Pan-Athenaic Festival was a very important one in Athens for athletic contests and competition involving drama, both tragedy and comedy, that we'll talk about later in this course. So Athena and Dionysus are two examples of the many, many members of the Olympian family in ancient Greece. And again, both half children of Zeus and quite different. Next video, we're going to go a little bit later in the chapter and talk about the historical ages of Greece, and especially give a little attention to when our literature, our major evidence for ancient Greek history comes from. We'll see you in the next video.